You know that feeling, right? The constant buzz of the city around you, the nonstop glow of the screen in your hand. But what if all that isn't just shaping your day, but actually physically reshaping your brain? We're going to dig into some amazing new research that shows exactly how our modern world is getting inside our heads.
I think a lot of us feel this deep down. That sense of being pulled in a million directions, your attention just shattered. Is this just what life is now? Or is there something much, much deeper going on inside our skulls?
So here's how we're going to tackle this. We're going to zoom way out and then zoom way in. First, we'll look at the massive physical world of city life, and then we're going to get personal and focus on that little micro environment that's with us pretty much every second of the day, the digital screen.
Okay, let's start with the big picture. More than half of the entire world's population lives in cities now. And yeah, we've always kind of guessed this affects our mental health, but the new science is getting incredibly specific about how.
And this is the crucial part. Researchers are finally moving past this simple idea of city versus country. What they've found is that it's the specific mix of things, pollution, green space, buildings, that creates a unique environmental profile for a neighborhood. And each profile has a totally different effect on our minds.
Take a look at this, because it's fascinating. It's not that city life is just bad, period. A neighborhood with a lot of pollution and social challenges seems to create more depressive symptoms. But a concrete jungle, one that just doesn't have any nature or green space, that tends to drive more anxiety. The specific type of city you live in can actually predict the type of challenge you might face.
And you might be thinking, well, how many people did they even look at? Get this, the researchers analyzed data from over 156,000 people. I mean, the sheer scale of this study is just massive, which means these findings carry some serious weight.
So how does this actually work in our biology? Well, the study found physical evidence. The affective profile, the one linked to depressive feelings, was connected to actual changes in the parts of the brain that handle reward. Meanwhile, the anxiety profile was linked to changes in the brain regions we need to, regulate our emotions. It's just an incredible illustration of how the outside world creates real, tangible changes on the inside.
But here's a really cool twist. The same environment doesn't affect everyone the same way. It turns out some of us have what they call genetic moderators. The best way to think about it is like a personal volume knob. For one person, their genes might crank the volume up on the stress from a noisy city. For someone else, their genes might turn it way down. So our DNA isn't our destiny, but it definitely plays a role in how sensitive we are to the world around us.
Okay, time to zoom in. Let's shift from the huge, sprawling city to that small, glowing screen that's, it's probably right in front of you. Because in this digital world, scientists are looking into a concept that's just as mind-blowing.
The term is digital dementia. And yeah, it's meant to be provocative. It was coined by a German neuroscientist, Manfred Spitzer, really to sound an alarm about how our nonstop use of technology might be messing with our ability to think. Now, we have to be super clear here. This is not the same thing as clinical dementia, the disease. Not at all. Instead, it's used to describe a state where our thinking gets worse. Trouble with memory, focus, learning, all brought on by just too much screen time. Chronic digital overload. So how does this even happen? Well, researchers think it's a three-step process. It starts with just way too much exposure. Then comes the chronic sensory overload, the pings, the notifications, the endless scrolling. And then, here's the key part. Our brain pathways for things like deep focus and memory, they're like a path in the woods. If you stop using that path because your phone is doing all the navigating for you, the path literally starts to fade away. And the effects they're seeing are very real. Studies are showing measurable changes in the actual structure of the brain, in the gray and white matter. And it goes beyond that. The blue light from our screens messes with our sleep by suppressing melatonin. And all those constant pings and alerts, they're literally training our brains to have shorter attention spans.
All right, so we've got the city outside your window and the screen in your hand. On the surface, they seem like totally different worlds, right? But when you put all this research together, a really powerful common thread starts to appear. Just look at this breakdown. Whether you're talking about the huge physical environment of a city or the tiny digital one of a smartphone, the fundamental finding is exactly the same. Chronic exposure to specific things is having a direct impact on our minds and our brains.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's this. Our brains are amazing. They're incredibly adaptive, but they are being pushed to their limits. Constant, sustained exposure to things like air pollution or an endless stream of digital pings isn't just a nuisance, it is physically changing the way our brains are structured and the way they work.
I know, this might all be sounding a little intense, but honestly, knowledge is power. Just understanding that this is happening is the absolute first step toward navigating this modern world a little better.
This is just our reality now. We're trying to navigate these two worlds all at once, the big, sprawling city and the intensely personal screen. And our brains are kind of stuck right in the middle, trying to process it all.
And that's really the most important thing to remember. This isn't about becoming anti-technology or packing up and leaving the city. It's simply about awareness. It's about making conscious choices. Taking a walk in the park on purpose, putting the phone away for just an hour, and just noticing how our environment actually makes us feel.
The truth is, our environments are shaping us every minute of every day. So the real question is, knowing what you know now, how will you start shaping them back?